I am just getting ready for an audit that I have later this week. And so I thought I would bring you guys along with me. Today is Monday and the audit is on Thursday. So I have a couple things I'll probably be working on each day. So today I just need to catch up a bit on the books. I'm a few months behind, maybe like 4 months behind. And this is a really chill client that I really only do like quarterly or maybe even less than that sometimes. So like I said, today is Monday. I am going to be working in the bank feeds, categorizing transactions, and then I am going to reconcile to the current day. If you don't know me, I am Morgan. My website is FinePoints.biz, and I do lots of bookkeeper videos, so subscribe if you're interested in that.
I'll tell you a little bit about this client and how the audit works. So this is actually an internal audit, so it's not started by the IRS. It is just every 2 years, there are some board members that look over the books and they go through a certain protocol. And this is just to make sure everyone is doing what they're supposed to do, there's no fraud detected, and someone is just overseeing the process a little bit. This is a preschool. They have, I think, 5 part-time teachers and like 2 aides. They collect tuition about once a month, and usually it's paper checks still. I've been trying to get them away from writing as many paper checks and just get more things digital, but that is kind of a slow process. And there are very few transactions each month. So that's why I can kind of do it more quarterly or less often, because there's, I would say, only like less than 20 transactions per month, and they are grouped kind of at different times of the year. So usually at the beginning of the school year, they'll buy more things, and then at the end of the school year, they'll have more transactions. So I know ahead of time the list of things that I have to prepare. So they want a budget for the fiscal year, and they want a general ledger by month. So that just shows every transactions per month. They want records of expenses. So some of that is reimbursements, and then also invoices from any vendors. So that's like paper copies or digital copies of receipts, basically. And then they just want the basic things you would expect, like a profit and loss statement, a balance sheet, and then bank statements as well. So I am working on gathering all of that stuff. So today, like I said, I am in QuickBooks. I am downloading things and categorizing transactions. So I will check in again with you guys when I am done with this step.
All right, so done with reconciling. That took probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours. It took a little longer because I ran into a little problem, and that was that not all of, like, there was 2 months of transactions that did not feed in to the bank feeds. And I'm assuming what happened is it was feeding automatically, and then at some point it got disconnected from the bank. And then when I reconnected it, it didn't go back to the right date. Maybe because it was too far in the past or something. Anyway, I've had that problem before, so I was able to fix it pretty easily. Basically what I did was I logged into the bank and I pulled a spreadsheet and downloaded the transactions from the bank, and then I uploaded them into QuickBooks. And I tried it with the bank has a few options of types you can download. First, I tried it with the one that seems to say QuickBooks Online. That one didn't work. I'm not sure why. It could be that my computer didn't recognize it. But then I just tried a regular old spreadsheet, like a CSV, I think, and that seemed to do fine. And it does have you kind of map it. So, you know, there's like columns on the spreadsheet. So it's like, which column do you want me to use for the date? Which one do you want me to use for the amount? So that took a little extra time, and it took me a second to like figure out what the issue was. But overall, pretty straightforward. So that was day 1, and I will check in with you guys again tomorrow, as I need to gather like some paperwork and some extra like resources and stuff and bank statements. So that will kind of be the process this week.
All right, so very unfortunately, I lost a bunch of audio while I was filming this on day 2. But I will let you know what I was going over. So Tuesday, day 2, I was working on the budgets, just gathering the budgets for the years that I was doing. The general ledger was one of the things that they wanted. And then I had kind of a trouble finding receipts. So starting out with the budget, as a nonprofit, you do have to complete a budget each year. And I share that every year at the board meeting that we have. So here I printed out the budget for the last few years, and I do it different ways. Like sometimes I pull budget versus actual, and my process has changed a little bit over the years. You can see I have a couple of different formats that I have the budget in. But basically I printed these out because these are one of the main things they want to look at. And then a lot of the information for this audit I am going to have digitally. So I'm going to make a Google Drive and have all the info that they need in there. Next thing is the general ledger. So it was only 4 pages, so I just printed this all out, and it just shows all the transactions in the last 2 years. And it is kind of small print, so I'm just going to bring that along in case, again, if there's multiple people looking at things, it might help, for some people to be looking on the computer. Some people prefer paper copies. And then the last thing I have is a copy of the missing receipts. So I've done a couple different receipt processes over the years for this client, and it's not really working out that great. So that's going to be kind of an issue during this audit, I think. But I'm going to send this list to the teachers to see if they can find any receipts. And then I think I'm also going to email the audit people, to the people who are auditing, and just let them know and kind of be a little bit proactive and tell them, we are missing some receipts. So we know that's a pain point, and we can work together to find better solutions. So hopefully that combination of me being kind of proactive and then maybe setting their expectations, maybe they will be pleasantly surprised during the audit. But I'm going to work to get especially the higher dollar amounts in the audit, just because I think those are the most important receipts to find. And here's me popping in again to tell you that I heard back from that email that I sent about the missing receipts, and some helpful feedback I got was that they wanted me to pull a expenses by vendor summary for the past 5 years, because then they can compare, like say we shop at Amazon, and if every year it's about $200, for the past 5 years, and then for the audit year it's like $500, like that is a big change. So if we just know what the normal amount we spend on each vendor is, that will help out just to make sure that the expenses are in line with what's expected. All right, welcome to Wednesday. Today I have a hot date with this lovely box of paperwork, one of my least favorite things to do. So Wednesday today, I am working through this box of paper, which mainly I need to find the reimbursements. So how this works is every time, if a teacher spends their own money buying something for the preschool, they get reimbursed by a paper check. And so I've tried to do away with a lot of this over the years, because now the teachers have debit cards, and then that feeds right into QuickBooks Online. So that's my preferred method. But again, we're auditing, the past. So I think there are some reimbursement forms in this. And, my system isn't perfect, but it works. As I get papers throughout the years, I put them in this drawer, and they stay safely in there, kind of chronologically organized until I'm ready to sort them. And then this actually did have a few personal things that I was able to just recycle. All right, and this big file here, I found a couple files like this, and these were things that I'd organized from previous years. So I think I had 3 or 4 of those, and those were things that were already audited in the past, and so I didn't need to, do anything with those for this current audit, but I am going to find a better storage solution. I think I'm going to be able to find a location on site to store that stuff, so it's not just sitting here in this drawer. All right, here is the rest of the montage of me speed sorting this box, throwing stuff on the floor that I'm going to recycle that I don't need, sorting the current items from the historical items. And I did, after I found the reimbursements and a few statements that I needed, I sorted them into piles for the past, I think it was 4 different piles for each year. Here's my lovely finished box. Yay, that feels so good to have cleaned out. And here are my finished organized piles by year. There really wasn't that much per year, which I think is good because I'm trying to get away from paper stuff. And then over on the floor is everything that I am recycling. A lot of that is personal stuff or random stuff from my own business too that I no longer need. And so I am going to look at these 2 piles right here and try to see if I have anything else in another drawer somewhere in case I'm missing a couple things. But other than that, I think we're good to go. All right, so it is Thursday, the day of the audit, and my main task today is just finish organizing things. So I thought I would show you guys how I did it in a digital way. So like I mentioned earlier, I did print out some things, but I wanted to have everything just really organized in this Google Drive. So here are the things, remember from the beginning, that they said they wanted. So they want a profit and loss statement, they want a general ledger, They want the budgets and a balance sheet. So I did all of those reports. And then I also did that expenses by vendor summary. So that was based on the missing receipts. So they could see, like I said, the general, how much we usually spend on each vendor. And then I did all the bank statements here. I downloaded all of those. And then in here is some documentation. So I think I don't think there's anything secret in here, but oh yeah. So basically every time there's a deposit, this is like the little deposit slip I get, and I put them all in a Word document, copied in there. And then every month I get a payroll invoice and I have to pay the payroll. So that's our biggest expense, this payroll. So I have one from every month in there. So I'm just going to share this with the 3 people that are going to the audit, and probably suggest that they bring a computer so that we can look at these things online, as well as I'll have some other paper stuff to support.
Hey guys, it's Friday. I wanted to follow up with you guys and let you know how everything went last night at the audit. So there was 4 of us there. Someone is training to take on a new finance position, and they had me hook up my laptop to the TV, which was kind of nice because then I could pull up things and we could look at it all together. And we have like an audit procedure here that they gave me ahead of time. So there's 3 things that they were going over. Number 1 was to review all the expenses and make sure they had documentation to go with them. Number 2, review the profit and loss. And number 3, compare the bank statement to the balance sheet. So I don't know, I felt kind of like blah after the audit. I don't know. It was kind of like a lot of effort, and I don't know. I'll tell you the good stuff first. So basically, number 1 was annoying, and number 2 and 3 were fine. So reviewing the profit and loss statement, they said it looked great. The budget was great. They asked a few questions about how we do our budget, and I could answer those. I have a spreadsheet that calculates the income based on how many classes there are and the tuition for each class. And then I have another little spreadsheet, I think I've done it in a different video, that calculates how much we pay the teachers. So that all kind of calculates and feeds into the budgeting. And comparing the balance sheet to the bank statement, this one I actually felt super prepared for, because I feel like the last audit I wasn't as prepared. So what I did was I printed, so we're doing 2 years, right? So I pulled the balance sheet, which shows all of the assets and liabilities for the last day of the first year and then the last day of the next year. So I had 2 of them. And within the balance sheet, it shows the bank balance. So we just have 1 bank account. And so it shows the bank balance. And then I printed out the page of the bank statement for those same dates. So it was like June 30th, I believe, for 2002 and 2003. And just a side note, we don't have a normal fiscal year. We have the school year as the fiscal year. So that's why the year ends in the summertime. Anyways, I felt on top of it because I printed out those sheets. I stapled each year together, and then I circled like where the 2 balances were perfectly matched. So I felt good about that. And then, so the most annoying part was like, we didn't have all the receipts, which I mentioned earlier in this video. And I feel a little like, because I have so much documentation. I have 2 years of invoices for payroll. I have all this other documentation for deposits, but the receipts were really a sticking point. And on like Wednesday and Thursday, we actually gathered up like a bunch more receipts. So I focused on the ones that were higher dollar amounts. And so I gathered probably like half the receipts. I was trying to be proactive in telling them kind of like the issue before I got to the audit. In hindsight, maybe I wouldn't have done that because I feel like they just focus so much on it. And I mean, that's their job and I understand that. So it was needed, but there was just certain things like people were making like suggestions that weren't actually helpful, or things that I had already tried. But basically, I don't want to be defensive because I really should have followed up on getting the receipts more quickly. So what I did to help in the future is I started writing up a procedure, and I'll show it to you guys on my computer. But basically, I'm going to divide the duties a little bit differently. I'm going to have the teachers responsible for like checking off all their receipts as they come in, or, at the end of a quarter maybe. And so I think that will share the responsibility a little bit and just help things function a lot more smoothly. So I'll let you guys see now that procedure that I am drafting up today. And then I'll probably meet with a couple people, a teacher and then the president of the preschool board, and just loop them in on what I'm thinking.
All right, so this is the receipt process I'm working on just typing up today. So it does put a lot more of the burden on the teachers, as you will see. So this is just like a little 1, 2, 3 about what the teachers need to do ongoing as they're buying stuff. So they are going to purchase stuff on debit cards, and then they need to somehow capture the receipt. So I gave different options here. So they can take a screenshot, and it does one of the problems is that some of the screenshots didn't have every single item because it was just this, the screen that you could see. And so they need to make sure maybe to do 2 screenshots if it is necessary, or maybe there's a way to take a screenshot of like the whole page versus just what you can see. So screenshot, download the emailed invoice. This was good if you get an email. Sometimes there's an attachment with an invoice, and so that is the most helpful, honestly. Or an email confirmation, or if it is a physical receipt, they can take a picture. Then they are going to need to be the ones who upload it to Google Drive. And this is a link to that Google Drive. So in the past, I was using the QuickBooks receipt function, and this did not end up working for this client. Partially it's my fault because I didn't follow up often enough, and they didn't email me. They only emailed me like half the receipts, I would say, because some of the teachers are better than others at emailing it. So anyways, it ended up being a huge headache for me. So I think it's going to be easier just for everyone to upload stuff into this Google Drive. I will send them the link at a regular cadence. So that is like a reminder for them to upload their stuff. All right. And then I come into a receipt check. So again, I've said this before, this is a tiny client. So I think I'm just going to do it twice a year. There's maybe like 20 transactions in each half of the year. So it's like a list of 20 things. So I'm going to provide a list of the receipts that are needed. And then I'm going to have the teacher check off all of those receipts. And then just to have one more piece of accountability, because me and the teachers have been neglecting it a little bit, I'm going to have the president, so the board president, follow up to make sure that this is done. So I want to get them a little bit more involved because I feel like I'm just kind of working alone a lot of times. So I think a little bit more accountability will help. And then for the audit, I'm going to have the teacher attend, and they are going to be the one to locate receipts for the debit card purchases. And I still have a bunch of stuff I'm doing. I am providing all the reports, bank statements, payroll stuff, and check documentation. So I think that if I can just have someone attend to do this little piece of it, that is going to help out a lot.
And definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out my website, FinePoints.biz, for more bookkeeper resources. And I will talk to you again next week with a new bookkeeper video. All right, take care. Bye.